I don't know why the Ithaca feed is so dark. Look. So the Ithaca feed is like super dark, and the Google Hangouts feed is actually pretty bright, to the point where it's almost a little tough to see the screen. I don't know if we can like put in a ticket for that or something, but like lighting is super weird.
Yeah,
two cameras.
Lighting's horrible in this room. Yeah, I'll put in a ticket for that.
Yeah, things to keep working on.
Exactly. Are you going to be recording?
Hang on one second, because we still need to connect to Ithaca.
All right. Cool.
That should give us enough time to catch the Ithaca folks.
Yeah, let's go here.
Francois. Oh, hey, nice. Hi. Can you hear us? Okay, can you see the slides? Excellent. Shoot, it moved my audio. No, that's okay if we're just not doing content at all. I know he's getting the feed, so we're okay.
You gonna be recording it?
Yeah, I guess we should record it on here just as a backup. There's a way to record it on there too. We'll do it here. I actually want to switch those two around. Great. Okay, cool. Should be all set.
Yeah.
No, we're right outside the access.
Okay.
Ooh, that's trippy. Okay, no, I need Jonathan. Hey, can you maybe turn these guys down a bit? What's that? You want me to hear the theme?
Yeah, doesn't hear everything.
Actually, we probably need to get them to turn it off.
I don't know if the mic is okay. The mic is for the Google Hangout or for these guys?
The mic is for basically the people in the room and the people in Ithaca, because otherwise the mic is right here. So if you're moving about the room, it's a little harder to hear.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, and this is the clicker.
Yes. I'll start in five minutes.
Okay. Hey, Francois, could you actually mute the mic in your room until we get to the questions section?
Here.
Thank you. So he'll turn the mic off and hopefully that'll stop the crackling noises.
So just my hashtag. YLA. That's actually the second slide. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I already favored the tweet from you. This is making that. So it's like the upside down.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Cool. All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chat screen.
What people do we have over there, or we don't have any indication?
We have one viewer, and that's me. So
Okay.
she's just tweeted out the feed.
One more thing.
Yeah.
If there's questions from them,
Yeah.
if you could please repeat it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I won't. I'll hear it, but let's
you'll probably hear the best, I think, from them. You might have to repeat it for everyone else.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. I don't know how to do. What is this capture? All right. It's weird. Welcome to YouTube Hangouts. Oh, that's retarded. That's not what we wanted. Alright, go back. There we go.
Let's start. Just like that. מה שטוב לך. We'll start in 1 minute. That's okay with everyone? Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Guy Laufer, and I'm the Global Digital Learning Director for McCann Worldgroup. Before I start, I would like to thank Cornell University and Dr. Landai for this opportunity. In addition, I would like to thank all of you for joining me today. My presentation today I will share with you my evolution or my journey as a designer, from being a traditional designer to a web designer and to a design thinker. In each one of these chapters, these 3 chapters, I will share with you my highlights or the key learning from each one of them. I was a young lad at the age of 21 years, and I didn't really understand what's going to be my next step. The future is in print, my father told me, insisting that I will learn something practical. I wanted to enroll to the Bezalel Academy of Arts and Design in Jerusalem to be a designer. My father kept insisting that I should learn something practical, that I will find a job afterwards. Unfortunately for my father, I got accepted to Bezalel and became a designer. But before that, I decided that I need to clean a little bit my head, and before jumping into school, I should take a break. So I took a journey to India, and this is how I looked upon my return. I had dreadlocks, and I was ready for my journey to start to be a designer. First thing I realized is the difference between formal academic or academia and when you are in an art school. The difference is between running a marathon and to running sprints. When you are in university or in a traditional, I would say, academia, you have all these periods of tests, and you pretty much force yourself to run. You have these periods of tests, and that's where you put all your energy. Unlike in design school, where you have to come up with a process that every week you come and you show your work, and you have to show progress. After 4 years in Bezalel, I was finally a designer and started working at BBD in Tel Aviv. This is my first chapter as a designer. And the first lesson that I realized was the gap, this huge gap between what I've learned in school and what actually reality is. How many people here are designers or have a design background? 2, 3, 4, okay. So we have a couple of designers, hi. Suddenly shifting from more poetic design methods, learning to work with typography, understanding visual hierarchy, suddenly you were working in the reality. It was like comparing Shakespeare to American Idol. Suddenly you had to use all these flashy things, these 3D effects, the blending modes, stroke, drop shadow, etc. So for me, it was this huge gap between what I've learned in school and the actual work outside. The second thing was the tools that I've gained and earned throughout my studies weren't relevant anymore. This was only 2 years after I graduated. For example, I don't know how many people are familiar with freehand, which is a vector program, just became obsolete, wasn't relevant anymore. At the beginning, I felt uncomfortable, but I realized that once my job is going to depend on a computer and my tools are related to technology, I just need to adapt and relax a little bit and understand that I always have to practice new things that are coming and new versions and updates. It felt that everything was good. We were providing creative solutions. I was designing. I got a good salary. But we were kind of trapped in this same circle of work. We would get a brief. We would come up with a solution. And nothing really was going anywhere. So I took a step backwards and decided to start researching. And I went and just take a look at the timeline of advertising and see what are the crucial tipping points and what are the main things. And I realized, and I know that this is a general statement, but I have no problem with that, that in 200 years there hasn't been many changes. You can see that we had print, we had radio, we had TV, and then black and white TV, of course, and then color. But pretty much the same medium and the same techniques were being used. Of course, there were billboards and other stuff. Up to 1993, where the internet gained, started the tipping point and gained more than 5 million users. I realized that there's something about this internet thing that is going to be big. What caught my attention was this campaign by McCann Digital, the Ad Dinosaurs, where they basically compared the entire industry to dinosaurs, and they were seeking to hire new blood. I want to show you. Let's see if this thing works. Yeah. There is sound. There's supposed to be sound. Okay, imagine there's a theme in the background, and we need to work on it because the other slides do have sound. So just... Yeah, from the website. That's okay for now, but we have some other examples which... So they compared the entire industry to dinosaurs, and they took all these Israeli Don Drapers and compared them to old dinosaurs that don't understand the new media. Of course, they also took these traditional medias and provide you a joke on each one of them, that a newspaper is basically not a news anymore because it was printed the last night, so it's definitely not updated. And of course, a place where you can upload your CV in order to save your career. Yeah. Now it's too late. That's the theme. I realized that I was just not in the right place. I was working on something that was not on the frontier or the cutting edge of the industry. And I tried to enroll to McCann, and I was lucky enough. And I started working as the first digital art director for McCann, which basically meant that I need to create and to invent this entire role, because there was no one to learn from. So what I tend to do in these kinds of situations is to take a step backwards and to observe. The biggest thing that I realized was the shift from a viewer to a user. From a monologue where I can shout my message either in a 3-second spot or in a 1-page image, into suddenly think about engaging and creating a dialogue from a passive viewer, to an active user. And this engagement was a big thing for me. The second thing is, for a designer, there's a linear process. You come up, you get a brief, you sketch a little bit around, for example, industrial design. You get a brief to design on remote. You look at it, you do some sketches, goes into manufacture. It's a done deal. You put it on the shelf, and the relationship ends there. Suddenly, in web, it's an ongoing relationship. It's an endless product. It's an endless, process, and you always have to adjust and tweak your product. And instead of us designers and creative, which have a little bit of ego, we need to stop seeking for praise, but starting to look for feedback in order to adjust the product or the site that we launched. Not only a mental gap, but also a practical one. As a designer, suddenly you need to think in sequence. So instead of one image print, it's a done deal. You go, you print it out, and that's it. Suddenly you need to think about the consequence or the user journey that needs to be involved. So if he rolls over here, there's interaction. Just want to take you through a banner, a simple banner interaction. So the first frame would be, hi, my name is Guy. The second one, sorry, the first one is to grab attention with the hand. The second one is interaction, shaking hand. The third one is a message, my name is Guy. And the last one is, how about going out for a beer? Or something like that. Of course, the beer is a microsite. But it's only, thank God for water, huh? It's dry here. It wasn't only about me as a designer, but suddenly I had to work within a larger group of people. Suddenly the structure of the team was bigger. Suddenly it wasn't just me and the copywriter came up with an idea, went to the creative director, got his approval, went to production. If we had money, we would go out for a shooting. If not, we would go to get the images, buy an image, and it was a done deal. Suddenly there's so many people involved. You're just a small piece of a bigger team. And again, I talked about the ego thing. As designers, we tend to think that our outcome is fascinating. But suddenly you understand that you need to understand that there's so many people involved. And once I became more confident with my work and with what I don't understand, I had the ability to bring these experts in an early stage of the process. For example, I would come up with an idea, a creative solution, but I would bring the Flash designers into the process at an early stage because they had something else to bring to the equation. Not only that the team was different, the entire process was different. In a print ad, the creative team go to a creative director, either get approval or not get approval. Let's hope that we get approval. We move to production. There's a little bit of hoo-ha, and there's a done deal. In digital, there's back and forth. You go back and forth, and for each thing that you change, you need to tweak, you need to use other people. But the biggest thing for me was the fact that you need to check feasibility. Before you go to the creative director to approve an idea or a design, you have to check with your digital producer if it's even feasible. So it's all good if you want to go to the moon and tweet and rotate Earth, but you need to check if it's good enough and if it's possible before you come and introduce it to the creative director. In the creative department, we were never too aware of the numbers, but suddenly you shift from a medium that you can't count anything to a measurable platform. Suddenly, when you had to introduce an idea to the client, you had to speak numbers. You had to bring numbers, and you would not only introduce the idea, but say how many impressions are going to be, how many click-through rate, how many people are going to actually click on the banner and go into your website, what's going to be the bounce rate, how many people are going to stay in the site, and what's the duration? Is it really good enough? Suddenly, if the creative wasn't meeting those demands or those numbers, you had to tweak and adjust the creative because it just didn't work. Would like to share with you two examples from my era as a digital designer. It was mainly display and digital campaigns, what we did back then. And I will share with you one example is the Braille banner, which I hope I can find the cursor. Basically, it was a banner with dots, which is Braille. How do you pronounce it in English? Braille, thank you. We pronounce it Braille. So it was just a dotted banner, and once you rolled over it, the message got exposed. This is, of course, in Hebrew, but it says the Association for the Blind Tel Aviv, for donations, press here. So although it's a banner and we underestimate it usually, there's good opportunities. The second example that I would like to share with you is sometimes you receive a brief or a project and it seems so dull and boring and dry that you want to shoot yourself. This was a great example where I thought about shooting myself. We had to launch, Nokia actually launched 10 new devices, and we had to figure out what are we going to do. The automatic solution or creative solution was to create an online catalog, but that's not very engaging. So we sat and we thought, what can we bring or what can we do in order to create some kind of engagement with the user? And I would like to share with you the video. I love this cursor. At this point at the agency, we were working in silos. The digital department worked on floor number 3. The traditional one worked on number 6. There was no correlation between the two. The product, so the client would give us a brief, and we would give him 2 creative solutions. Why is this bug here? Why are you doing this to me? Why? YouTube, please. We were working in silos. That's okay. We can have just the presentation. It would be perfect without any additional things. Yeah, thank you. We were working in silos, and it was, so the client received 2 creative packages that there was no correlation between them, except the visual language. And when I say the visual language, I'm talking about the brand's DNA. Came a new CEO and decided that that's no more. He wants to combine the 2 departments and create McCann 3.0. In rare occasions in life, you learn something in university and there's correlation to life. I would like to share with you Carter's change model, which is about creating change within organizations. There are 3 major buckets. The first one is creating climate for change. The second one is engaging and establishing the organization. And the third one, and the last one, is implementing a sustainable for change, a sustaining for change. Everything went almost well. We got on board, we were clear where we are heading, but there was one thing. We didn't form a powerful coalition. All the executives of McCann Digital just didn't accept this thing and decided to leave the company. So we were moving forward, but the foundations were shaky. And then, of course, as always, comes something surprise. There was social. So suddenly, we had to provide a new solution to the clients, but there weren't any people. So we had traditional digital in one department, combined, but now we were hiring new people, and we created social, McCann Social. So with all due respect to creating change, you need to take in consideration the fact that you are doing something that is related to technology and be adaptive to the fact that there are going to be many changes. So we were back to square one. Those people from the social department brought with them unique skills, and I would like to share with you one specific campaign, which is based on Facebook's, back then it was new, the timeline. So of course, if you're not on these social platforms, you wouldn't come up with an idea like that because you have to be familiar. So none of the traditional people or the digital people were familiar with these social platforms. At this point in my career, I realized that I am kind of trapped in this creative framework or creative. People always saw me as a designer, and I was trapped. So I decided to take a short trip up to the northern part of Israel and did a mini Vipassana, which included a lot of talking on the phone, beers, and I realized after 3 years that, 3 days, sorry. 3 years, there's a lot of time to think, huh? Wow, 3 years, that would be nice. It took me 3 days to get to the conclusion that I need to do some studies and I need to get a master. I didn't have a clue what should I do or what the master should be in. I started searching MBAs, but realized pretty quick that it has nothing to do with my background as a designer, or it doesn't take advantage my creativity. After a long research, I realized that there's the Design Manager program at Pratt, which focuses exactly on that, providing managerial tools for creative people. And what is this? Sorry. What is, where am I? Oh, split screen, nice. What is design thinking? Design thinking is problem solving using creativity, but within a framework. Once I arrived to New York, I realized that people like to quote Steve Jobs, and God forbid, I don't want to be different. But I think it really emphasizes this point. Design is not how things looks, but rather how things work. So the state of mind was to look at the designer as someone to put at the end of the process, but rather put him in the beginning and the end of the process, please make this thing beautiful. But instead of it, taking a designer and putting him in the beginning of the process so he can influence the entire strategy of the process and can bring this empathy and outside of the box thinking into the process. I learned throughout the design management program the SUIT language, return on investment, income, revenue, and there was a framework that we worked within. was the 4 Ds: discover, design, define, and deliver. The more I think about this framework, I think it's a very linear, it's very simple, but it's not facing the 21st century reality. Because if it goes this way, we always need to give something feedback in order to come back and adjust and work on our stuff. So I want to show you 2 examples of design thinking projects that I've been working on. The first one is a design management online, which is my thesis, which I worked with Dana Gorin and Courtney Williams on, which the core essence of our program was the 4 Ds and the 3 Ps. The 3 Ps were people, planet, profit. You have to design for people, you have to create profit, and you have to take into consideration the planet. Because we have abused Mother Nature enough up to this point, and we need to start thinking about what happens to the product once someone is done using it. And we thought it was a great message that needs to be delivered outside of the classroom. So I'll share with you a short video that describes this project. The second example would be my current role as a global digital learning director. McCann is a well-established agency and has been mastering brand storytelling for over 100 years. It understands and is extremely professional when it comes to traditional media. However, on the digital, unlike other big agencies, in the digital sphere, it needs a little bit of practice. That's where I hope I come to the picture and help a little bit. We have over 23,000 employees worldwide, and we have over 120 offices. For me, the challenge is understanding the balance between zooming out and seeing the entire picture and going into the bits and pieces. You want to look at each one of the regions and understand how you can tailor a curriculum around their specific needs. However, you don't want to be so tailored because you need to deliver this program to other places. For example, when you go to Asia and you see the mobile penetration, you understand that the curriculum has to involve mobile. But when you go to Latin America and you do social, you understand that they are on different social platforms. So the entire courses or the things that we provide them needs to address their own specific needs. On top of that, you have to take in consideration the culture of the place. You can't force something, and that's something where you need to be a little bit more sensitive. You need to understand that each region doesn't want something that is Americanized and pushed to that specific region, but try to find a way where you can collaborate with digital experts from that region and help them to get their people into more hybrid employees, which understand traditional and digital and can provide these holistic ideas which are media neutral. What is a media neutral idea? Basically, instead of going and having an idea which is based on the medium, you have an idea which is a big idea, and then you find which one of the channels suits it the best. A little bit of the structure of the program. In the beginning, what we realized after research is that the terms that people use across the agency have nothing to do with reality. Sometimes people use the word digital terms in a wrong way. So we want to establish a common language before we go even to providing skills. We want everyone to share the same language or digital language, and that's basically what we're aiming to do in the basic courses. For each one of the major departments at McCann, which is account, strategy, and creative, we provide specific classes tailored around their role. In each one of those classes, they learn practical tools that they can actually use immediately when they leave the class. And finally, the X class, which is a combination of what you have learned throughout the entire program, but deals with a real project or a real brief. So we harness all we've learned throughout the program into a real problem, and we face the client with a solution. So now, first of all, we are proud to say to the client, we are investing in our people in order to improve them, and we are working on our digital muscle. So to sum it up, I don't think that digital is magic. I think from across the agency, wherever you go, you see that there's curiosity, and people realize that they have to be more hybrid workforce, and they have to understand digital. Otherwise, they're not going to be, they will become dinosaurs. And this is where I end my presentation with the last slide. Is there any questions? One by one. Let's do it slowly, because let's take it step by step. Any questions? Yes.
Which region do you find most challenging?
Oh, wow. So in each region.
I mean the world.
So in each region, you'll find specific offices which are different. So I think, for example, the big market, the Asia, for example, China is challenging. Because I don't know what there's different rules or different digital for them, digital internet for them, and I'm not familiar with that. So I need their instructors, I need them to help me and to guide me of what are their specific needs. And that's a huge market, definitely. Also in India, they don't use Amazon. They have Alibaba, and they have different social platforms, which I don't know what these platforms can provide. So I think that's the biggest, those two examples would be the most challenging ones.
Why Alibaba India?
I don't know. Yes. Let's stand in this quiet, enjoy this moment, and thank you very much all. Well, okay.
Has there been any, like, with advertisement, like the movie production, sometimes you get a backlash because you missed out some sensitive topic? Any
Yes, I actually had this example, but once I realized that I'm going to be recorded, I had to take it out of my deck. But yes, we launched a campaign, and we did something very unpolitically correct for one of our major clients. And the owner of McCann Israel received a phone call from the head, the worldwide chairman, saying, take it out of the internet, which I don't know if he explained to them, but that's impossible. Once it's out there, it's out there. Yes, we had those kinds of things, and it happens. And there's less regulation in the web. So there's more freedom for creativity, but with that being said, you always need to take in consideration that you're not crossing the line. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.